and then we will be ready. Yeah, the only problem with my phone being on is we may get a text or a call. Okay, we are now streaming live on YouTube. So hello everybody, give us a second here to just make sure that we are, all connected. Excellent. We will be ready. All right, let me mute myself. Okay, there we go. All right, my dear. Let's just make sure. Yep, we are here. All right. Welcome back, everyone. You know who I am, your host, Caroline Beste, the Tao of Horsemanship. And I'm your host of Everything Horses and More podcast and Everything Horses and More video library. And today we've welcomed back our lovely Lidia Kuleshnyk.
Perfect.
Yes, thank you. Lydia, welcome back, Lydia. Lydia is our guest speaker, of course. And we are going to be talking about the Divinity of Horses. This is a series. That was the first podcast that we did together. And this is part 2, horses leading us into expanded consciousness, and what that means, hopefully for all of us, and how to attain that level of spiritual connection. And it is deep connection with everyone, with all beings, not just our horses. I think that's really important for everyone. I think that's, for me, the biggest driving point is letting everyone know that this topic that we're talking about just isn't for us, it's for everyone. Everyone can achieve this. And it is an amazing place to be. I can't say enough. And I know, Lydia, you share the same. So real quick, let me do a couple of announcements and get these things out of the way before we start diving in really deep. I'd like to announce 2 amazing offers today from the Tao of Horsemanship from me, and they'll only be available 24 hours, ending tomorrow, Thursday at midnight. And they complement what we're talking about today. And the first one is I'm giving 50% off of my Discovering the Spirituality of Horsemanship Lifetime Master Course. It's a $1,000 course. I'm giving 50% off. And when we're done with this podcast, I'll provide the information and the code and where to go. This course teaches you how to create, for me, the deepest connection with your horse using the power of relationship, energy, and movement. So this is how you learn to become one with your horse in heart connection, which is your relationship, mind, which is your thought and your conversation, and the body movement. So it's a holistic approach. And Lydia and I are going to talk more about, what does holism mean, and how do we live, maybe not so much, but how do we live a holistic life where we're integrated? We integrate the mind, we integrate the heart, the soul, the spiritual aspects of our life, and we integrate it in our body on a somatic, visceral level. What do we feel? How do we tune in and attune? So this course teaches you that, and it teaches you this through my liberty, believe it or not, and relationship. You're learning liberty, you're learning online, and you're learning my art of lunging, which is so important. It's a great way to learn how to connect deeply, communicate clearly, all the while developing the movement, the biomechanics of your horse before you learn how to ride the movement. So that's really key. And it's also included in my big mastery program. That's double the price, but it also includes all the riding. So this is not about riding, but this is everything that I teach on the ground between relationship and energy and the chakra systems and meditation and flow, and how to become one with your horse in mind and thought. And I mean this, you guys, this whole telepathy thing is real. And we're going to talk more about the dreams that come to us and how we get these insights and these levels of communication from our horses specifically, whether it's through dreams or everyday experiences living in the now, how you can develop this ability. We all have this ability, and it's part of our intuition. We all have this ability to develop this. So that's the first 50% off. And the second is 50% off of my video library for the first month subscription, just the first month. And again, this is a great way to learn from hundreds of videos in real time, holistic training videos of mine, as well as connect with people of like mind in a community. And I have a ton of short courses, especially a lot on rehabilitation with horses. And we are offering next week our first monthly group coaching in my video library. So it's a great way to get to ask me questions and learn even more. So sorry about the two announcements, but I got them out of the way. Thank you. And part of our talking points today with Lidia that continues where we began the other month, this is in part one, so this is a series, is Lidia is going to be diving in. Again, we're going to dive into, we are living through the greatest, this is Lidia, we are living through the greatest paradigm shift in human consciousness today. And it's time to evolve and recognize horses as divine spiritual beings. Lydia's gonna talk again about how horses came to her life through dreams, vivid dreams. And she was told that she was a sister of horses. That's where she acquired the name Epona. She's a sister of horses. How one special horse spoke to her in dreams and it needed to be rescued from slaughter. And that horse changed her life. So it's that one special horse that we all have. And then how to bond, not just with horses through healing, but she's also going to talk about her 12 ancient universal principles that she offers. And do you offer those principles not in an online course? Are they in a book of yours, Lidia, on your website?
Well, yes, I have published them in previous chapters and books, but I do use them as the foundation for my high performance wellness coaching, where we recognize mindset, the importance of mindset, but moving beyond mindset into alignment of our higher self and body, mind, spirit. And ancient universal principles are the roadmap, and horses, in this case, are the way showers. So they are the guides to help us along the pathway to align us with our higher self, with the integration, as you're saying, of body, mind, and spirit. And the principles are like the roadmap, right? And the horses are like the guide, and our life is the journey. So we'll talk a bit more about that. But
That's beautiful.
I put together 12 ancient universal principles from Taoism, from Taoist to macrobiotics.
That is beautiful. That's one thing I'm learning from you. So many things to feel. You and I've talked about this. We've had our own private, Zooms and talking, and they last for hours. We just get into the stream of consciousness, or we're responding in emails, and we have so much in common. I'm just learning so much. I'm learning how to articulate better. Your wisdom is amazing. And I'm just so excited I met you and that we are able to do this, produce this together. So we're going to get to your 12 ancient universal principles in a minute. And then we're also going to talk about, and I did this podcast with the other Lidia, my co-host Lidia. I did this podcast with her a little while ago, and it's going to be great to bring this up again. And she helped me creatively brainstorm. And Lidia, I know you're here on YouTube listening to us. Hi, love. And she was such a catalyst. I could cry. Thank you, Lidia Primavera. She was such a catalyst in helping me pull out something that's just been so intrinsic and innate to me. You don't think about it. It's like second nature. But she's like, what are your core? I have many principles to my work, my method of becoming one, moving as one, and riding as one with horses. But this aligns what I'm going to be talking about with your principles on a big holistic level, on a really deep, holistic, expanded consciousness level. And Lidia helped me flesh out, my 8 core principles, which are basically, I call them the transcendental principles of horsemanship, conscious horse human principles. And they lead you into transcendental meditation. And I'll talk more about that, but it's just so cool. And then Lydia, gosh, why do I get a brain freeze with your last name?
Lady Epona. Don't call me Lady Epona. It's easier than
Lydia Puna and I, we keep finding all of these alignments. Like she just launched her new website, or the website for her Epona last fall, and I just launched my new website last fall too. So we've been on this trajectory, this journey, without knowing each other together.
Without knowing.
Without knowing so many similarities. So before we dive in deep, I want to talk a little bit, for those of you that know me, you know that I want to give some basic terminology to what we're going to be talking about, because a lot of people come into these podcasts and they're so interested to learn more, but they don't really understand how things connect or what they mean. And so we're talking about horses leading us into expanded consciousness. And so I'm going to start with expanded consciousness and what that means. And I think it's, as a teacher, I always like to start out with the basics. So making sure my audience, my students know, don't have a preconceived idea, which we all can. We can all have this preconceived idea, or we think we know what something means, but we don't really understand what it means. So I'm going to start out with a few technical definitions just to get us started. And then I'll allow you, Lydia, to lead the way, my dear. So expanded consciousness, just in your Google searching, is a sense that one's mind has been opened to a new or larger kind of awareness, associated particularly with mystical experiences. We have plenty, she and I, meditation, or hallucinogenic drug use. So we're not into the drug use. I'm not. Sorry, not going there today.
Don't touch it.
Yeah.
You don't need it.
So yeah, exactly. So this is it, but we are going to talk about our mystical experiences.
Yeah.
We're going to share that, and we're going to talk about meditation. So it's an altered state of consciousness, but without drugs, you guys, and we can all get there. And where I want to, and this will just be part 2, we'll have to do part 3 and however many more. But where we're leading is, how do you get there, and how do you, and why do you want to get there? I think we're going to be able to share with you and give you guys a lot of reasons why it's so important to have an expanded consciousness and expanded awareness, for so many reasons, for your own health benefits, for all of your relationships, not just with your horses, the relationship you share with yourself, which is so important. If you don't take care of you, you're not going to be ready or strong enough or prepared to take care of anyone else. And so that's the first definition. The next is, what does heightened state of consciousness mean? And for me personally, I'm in these states throughout my daily activities. And it's you have to learn it, but I think as a creative person, I do believe it's easier as a creative person to tap into this. And I also believe that we're all presented with these abilities. We just have to find out what that talent or that gift is. As I've always said in many of my podcasts, creativity is in every form. It's in the way you think, it's in the way you speak, it's in the way you sing, the way you do things. I mean, it can be in anything. And I've had so many students over the years tell me, I wish I was talented. I wish I was gifted. I wish I was artistic. And we talk about it, or I start to see them in the way they do things. And I'm like, well, you have such a beautiful way of expressing yourself, or dressing, or the way you choose colors, or the way that you take care of people. There's so many ways that we have so many gifts, and I think it's important that we learn what those gifts are, because it helps us appreciate ourselves and give value to ourselves and put us in a place where we're not searching or seeking outside of ourselves, or being envious, or feeling insecure, or lowering our self-esteem by comparing ourselves to someone else. It's like Lydia and I could be going through the same class together, learning something totally new to both of us. And the way that Lydia, you and I go about doing it is unique and special, and sure, one of us might be better at it than the other. I'm not going to take away from someone having a strength in something, but it's also, where is your creativity? Where is your creative? Where is your specialness in that activity? That you're putting that specialness, that's your special uniqueness that you're putting into that activity. Anyway, not to go off on a rampage, or a different direction. What does heightened state of consciousness mean? So a higher consciousness is the term given to describe a state of elevated awareness and perception that allows individuals to develop a deeper understanding of the nature of reality. These states move the mind beyond self-interest and craving. And that's where I'm talking about transcendental meditation. And okay, sorry guys, I just see one of my horses in a pasture they're not supposed to be in, so they must have pushed a gate open. I'll wait till Janine gets here and I'll send her out to take care of that. Oh my gosh. Hold on for 1 minute. Janine, we are live. Would you mind putting Blue back and closing that gate that he just pushed open?
Sure.
I don't want him in the back pasture. Can you believe that little stinker? Yeah, nobody's supposed to be back there. Thank you. Just grab a halter. Thanks, love. Sorry. So, the heightened state of consciousness, I mean, Lydia, what would your definition be? What's your experience with the heightened state of consciousness?
Well, we're always evolving. So wherever you're at in your self-awareness and your recognition of what you consider to be reality, then we can expand from there. Right?
Yeah.
So it never ends.
Yes.
It never ends,
Why would we want to expand from there? Why would we want to heighten it?
If you have a yearning. So not everybody's interested in healing and growing and evolving, right? But we are.
Yes.
We are. So there's a yearning.
Yes.
There's a yearning. There's something, as you were saying earlier, and everything you shared was expressed so beautifully. There's something, for example, with horses. So when we're with horses, then we have a sense that there's something more, right? There's something, we feel something, when we're ignited, something's activated when we're with horses, and then we remember the joy and the experience afterwards. But we want to have a genuine interest, a genuine, kind of like a healthy yearning to engage more fully in the beautiful joy and fulfillment of life. And this is a journey that goes on forever. So where I am now is I will look back as I commit to my own healing and personal growth. I will look back and think I was in the beginning, right, of this, aspect of my growth and evolution, or expanding consciousness. So when we're expanding consciousness, we're integrating who we are in the present moment, allowing, accepting, honoring yourself for who you are, forgiving yourself and embracing yourself, so that you have a foundation like a trunk of a tree from which you can grow more branches and blossom. And for a higher consciousness, if someone is really interested, in expanding consciousness, we really want to be grounded, right?
Yes.
In our core, you might say earth. So you want to be that
quiet.
You want to be that tree. You want to be that trunk. Your core is the trunk of the tree, and the tree can grow greater and healthier when the roots
and stronger. Yes, and stronger. That's the metaphor I use all the time, isn't it, you guys? I have a lot of students listening right now. I mean, I'm always describing, how do you ground yourself? Think of yourself as being like a tree, and the tree's trunk, the roots going into Mother Earth, and feeling that expansion, feeling that energy going down, and the weight of that energy, feel it. It's got to be a somatic experience that feels that it's touching and connecting with the earth. The earth is pulling that energy down, giving you a sense of stability and safety. It's your first chakra that I talk about. yeah, expanded consciousness, you have to learn how to be in the moment. You have to learn how to be quiet. And that's what you're talking about, is get grounded, get still, get quiet, so that you can hear, your sensory awareness is expanded and heightened. And you're also, well, that's what allows you to attune and tune in, as I call it in my work, become a tuning fork. And your chakra system becomes that tuning fork. It is the horse's nervous system that is their tuning fork. And they also have their chakras aligned in their body, just like we do. So yeah, it's important, for me in the work, because I'm teaching people how to develop themselves so that they can develop their horses to their fullest potential together. And you have to start somewhere. So this is where we want to start, with the first chakra, with being grounded, to help open up the expansion of the consciousness, of the energy pathways, for all of that to happen. It's profound. It's not, it's simple. It's more simple than, it's easier than you think. And I think that's where I know that's where meditation comes in. And helps us experience this on a deeper level and expand. But you have to learn how to do that correctly. There's so many different levels or types of meditation. Everything okay? Thank you. They were both out. Those little stinker pots. And they're so funny. Well, Janine's here. Hi, Janine. She hasn't been on one of our podcasts since she moved last year. This is great. And she's back now. So what happens when you reach a higher level of consciousness? According to, what's out there, a person who experiences a high level of awareness tends to be more in control of their thoughts. So this is where it's so beneficial to us on a personal level, not just in our relationship with our horses, but here we go. It helps us be in more control of our thoughts, the ability to pay attention to detail and analyze the activity around us comes through heightened awareness, heightened sensory awareness. And so often we're going about our daily life preoccupied, thinking about yesterday, thinking about tomorrow, thinking about the future or the past, but we're not in the now, the present. And so I'll end it here, this conversation. What does pure consciousness feel like? According to this scheme, typical characteristics of pure consciousness seem to be, for example, the perception of silence, clarity, and alert awareness without ego self-consciousness. And for me, guys, I've talked about this before, and Lidia and I have talked about this. When I'm in that heightened state of consciousness, it usually happens for me anytime I start speaking about these things, or anything that I feel passionate about. Like I can say 99% of every video I've ever made, I'm in that heightened state of consciousness. And I am speaking into the camera. I usually always have a horse with me, whether I'm sitting on them, getting ready to ride, or they're next to me. And I have a heightened sense of awareness, meaning I can speak. Absolutely. Like, most of my videos are never edited. They're real videos, you guys. They're edited to upload and to put an intro and an outro and whatever, I want to slice and dice, but I don't have to retake my videos. Rarely ever do I retake my videos. They are a pure stream of consciousness. And during that process, I never remember what I talk about. I hardly ever remember it. It just comes through me and I am buzzing. So I feel like my 7th, 8th chakra is buzzing. I'm tingling in my fingertips. Sometimes I get chills, and I can hear the wind. I can hear the birds. I can see everything around me so clearly, even though I'm focused on the camera. And in my big program, and mostly in my big program, where I usually have 3 to 5 horses around me while I'm filming, and I may only be working with one, of course, but they want to come. They like a magnet come to that energy, because it's so grounded and it feels so good. It's such a strong energy. I've been practicing this for so long that it emits a frequency that they can feel, that puts their nervous system in their endorphin. And you see it in the videos, and they're all asleep. And the coolest thing is the horse that I'll be working with, because we're telepathic, and it's so easy for me to be telepathic with my horses. It is, and this is how you can begin that journey, is that the minute I'm done, and Janine has filmed so many of my mastery program videos 5-7 years ago. It was you out in the heat filming me several days a week and me editing till 1 p.m. at night. God love you, girl. And one woman show here. And the cool thing is as soon as I'm in this group of horses that's asleep, and you guys have it, you see it in the videos, soon as I'm talking to the camera, and as soon as I start to think about where I need, what horse I need next, and how we're going to move on from the camera to now me in action, that horse wakes up, usually stretches, yawns, and looks right into the camera or looks straight at me while I'm still talking, but my mind is already thinking about, I need to get so-and-so ready, and we're about to do so-and-so. This is where it's transcendental. Like, I don't know, Lidia, what the word is, where you can be in the moment, but you're also in other places in that moment. I don't even know what the word is for that.
Multidimensional flow state. So what you're describing in terms of expanding consciousness from the center of our being outwards, beyond the mind. Let's just think beyond the mind for the moment. Let's think about our state of being, our essence, right? What we're radiating is what you're describing.
Yeah.
That's a flow state.
From the heart.
Yeah, that's
from the heart.
Yeah, from the heart. So that's
I love what I'm doing. I love my horses. I love what I'm talking about. I don't even remember what I'm talking about. It feels like that. It feels so strong.
Well, you're channeling, right? So you're a master channeler, and channeling is always most, aligned when there's a receiver. So when you are knowing that when you're doing a video, as you're describing, and there is a receiver, there are people who are watching it, and the horses are around, then it's real. It's not just, oh, I'm thinking I'm going to talk about this or that and write it on a piece of paper. You enter into an aligned flow state, channeling what we call the universal energy of yin and yang, or we call heaven, meaning non-religious, like heaven outside of the earth, and then the earth. And then you are at your potential as a high spiritual being who is multidimensional. So we're all multidimensional, and each person on the planet is a high spiritual being. And so, but it becomes more evident, or there's greater opportunity to be in that state when, in this case, is a beautiful example, what you're describing, that there's a receiver. I remember years and years ago, I listened to a channeled message about high spiritual beings who talked about helping to heal the earth. And they said, well, people ask us, why don't you just send all this white light and all this energy to the earth and solve all our problems, right? We'll all be infused with white light, and all the darkness will go away. So why don't you do that? Well, there's a number of reasons, because we're on our own journey right here of our own self-empowerment and self-mastery and expanded consciousness. But they also said something very practical. And I always remember this is maybe 20 or 30 years ago. They said, we need receivers. If they just sent the planet an infusion, of massive white light, and there weren't people, beings, horses, humans aligned with that energy, able to process, able to receive, assimilate, distribute and radiate that energy. So pillars of light, as you were saying, you're like a vehicle, right? You receive information as you're talking. You don't remember because it's from expanded higher consciousness, right? But you're grounding it. So we talked about you're grounding it on the earth to communicate that message in a way that we can understand. And this is a highly, highly evolved a trait and ability that everybody has, but you're cultivating that. So these channeled messages were saying, we need you, to be light workers, the word light worker or light warrior or light steward, we need you to be able to receive and ground the light that we send you so that it can be distributed in a balanced way to raise the vibration with the least amount of disruption. Now, change involves, getting out of your comfort zone and can involve healing reactions. But it was a very interesting illustration of principles of life. And as you were speaking, I was thinking of the first two ancient universal principles that I'd like to share, which everyone knows, we'll integrate it right into the conversation.
Yes. Perfect.
It's the number one, and it's not mine. I mean, these are universal principles. Everything is energy. So when we work with the ancient universal principles, we will naturally start to expand our consciousness because they are in alignment with the high frequency of the whole universe. And they help ignite our insight. They help expand our awareness. And they help align our vision, our perspective, our understanding. So number one, everything is energy. And as you're saying, my second universal principle, which we mentioned in our last interview, energy never lies.
Yes.
You can't fool Mother Nature. And I've always loved that one. And so as an example, when you're with your horses, when anyone's with their horses, you can't fool them. Right? They feel your energy. And we're talking about visceral. So the concept of energy is becoming well known and more fashionable. People talk about, I'm aware of energy and everything is energy. And now the time on the planet is to really go a little bit deeper, which is the point why we're guided to have this conversation and talk about it more from a visceral rather than intellectual understanding.
Yes. Thank you.
And that everything is energy. Sure, we can start to kind of get that. And, in our life, we can do exercises. Like you can make a list of what drains me, when I do X, Y, and Z, like when I do paperwork, I kind of go gray and I get drained, right? But I know I have to do it. So I have to balance and manage my energy, right? Or when are you energized? So we all know, everyone here knows that when you go see your horses, when you go visit horses, you could be really tired and during and after, how did I get all this energy, right? Or happiness or fulfillment.
Yes.
Working with that first principle and seeing it in your life, there's a great tool exercise to make a list. What drains me? What makes me feel happy or fulfilled or more energized? So that's kind of like an intellectual way, which is a good step. It's a mindset.
I call it mind. That's the beginning of mind mapping that I teach in my coaching. Mind mapping, where you do a pros and cons list. So you start to identify what's, like you just said, what's good energy, what's draining me, what's creating abundance, instead of depleting me. And I just want to add, not to be rude, because I know people can be like, how do I, we do flow so well. How do you, like, so many of my students will be like, gosh, I'm so drained. And I know I'm bringing that energy to my horse every day. And I only have so much time, how do I change this? And we're talking about it right now. It begins with being aware of what you feel on a visceral somatic level, what you feel inside. It begins there. And then learning how to ground that energy and kind of you can give it back to the Mother Earth. You can let the Mother Earth take that and come from a place of feeling stronger and more abundant, not depleted. But we have to learn to become aware of how that's happening and when it's happening before we can start doing anything, I believe. And often I say to my students, just start spending time with your horses. Don't expect anything when you're in a bad place, so to speak. Just learn how to be. Even if you're grooming them, or you have to bathe them, or you have to lead them from, out from the pasture into the barn, vice versa. How can you make that short period of time, turn into quality time, and that you both feel good? So I teach people how to ground with their horses. And that's where we begin with my work and everything. And it is amazing. Everyone says it's amazing. So it's a great place to really open your heart, to not have these expectations, and really connect with your horse from the heart, not from the mind and the expectations of what is supposed to happen that day. So, yeah.
Well, that's magnificent. And if you're, you know, to the point that you mentioned, if someone is feeling drained or tired or frustrated on their way to see their horse, then you've been given this beautiful gift of this divine spiritual being who understands that and is patient and will allow you the time and the space to release, to breathe, to have reverence for yourself, and then share that reverence for your horse. And it doesn't require a lot of time. It could be a minute or two. You can just start breathing and releasing any built up energy. Imagine white light coming through you. Imagine golden white light coming through you. And then remembering who you are, that your essence is joy. Your essence is unconditional love. High vibration love is the fabric of the universe.
Right. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I attest to that. That is, yes, thank you. God.
And we all, I'm like that too. You know, I'll go out and, you know, I've got contractors who aren't showing up, or people and like whatever's going on, right? And
I know.
like, I gotta get to the horses. Everybody knows it. It's like, I gotta get to the horses. And then I'm very conscious. So talking about expanding consciousness in our daily life and in a way that is out of the, it's integrated, right? It's not separate, you know, expanding consciousness. We can learn tools, but we can start to practice it, right? In a very thoughtful way. And to just take a few moments. Your horse knows you better than you know yourself, because they're divine beings. And they love you more than you can imagine. I'm going to start to cry. It is so true. And they have come on the planet to be with you.
Yeah.
They have come on the planet to help you heal and grow and evolve. They have their giant wings around you. So no matter how drained you are, no matter how frustrated you are, no matter what trauma or loss you're dealing with, or something's happened, they understand.
Yes, they do.
And they accept you. So we want to unite in this love with horses and not feel bad. We don't want to beat ourselves up that we're not in this perfect state, right? When we're with our horses, but being with the horse will help us come back into our center. They will help us be centered in our core energy, connected to our essence, our power, conscious of our thoughts, beliefs, of who we are. And then they will say to you energetically or otherwise,
they'll give you messages.
Everything's okay. You're okay just the way you are. I love you just the way you are. So let's just regroup together. And then what would you like to do today? What, you know, did you plan to do X, Y, or Z with me today? But let's get back into, as you said, our heart space. And energy never lies. So we're not harming our horses by showing up with carrying the burdens and the realities of life when we allow the sacred space.
Yes. And we're honest. We're authentic.
Yes.
I think a lot of people, in my experience, my students try to force it, fake it, push through it. And that's where the horse fights back. So in the horsemanship world, that's the big struggle, isn't it? It's like, what do you send it? You're asking your horse to do something, but you're thinking and feeling something different, and that's incongruent. So where's the congruency? It's like, be honest, tell your horse how you feel, cry, do what you need to do, find this place of getting centered again that Lidia and I are talking about, and then take that feeling, that joy, that feeling, that ease, that sense of peace that you just shared with your horse because it felt so good, the hugging, the love, the whatever, take that into the action now, into the work, because you're taking in what the horse wants to receive. They don't want to receive defensive brace, tension within you. That doesn't feel good to such a highly attuned being like the horse. They're so highly advanced and attuned. We just electrocute them. I say that all the time. I used to electrocute all the time. I had no idea how I lived in my third chakra all the time. And I just used to, my fire chakra, electrocute my horses. So, it's just, again, being more mindful and not beating ourselves up, and not feeling the pressure of what you think you should be doing or what someone else is telling you to do or how they should handle it. If it doesn't feel right to you or your horse, don't do it. You're not aligned. You're not aligned. Stay aligned with what feels right. That's the energy, what feels right. Like you just said, number 2, energy never lies. So there you go. When your horse isn't acting the way you expect them to, take a different mindset, a different look at it. Energy never lies. Your horse never lies. What's going on inside of us? How are we projecting that energy, channeling it through our arms, our hands, our ropes, our whips, whatever we're, touching them? What are they feeling? Oof, maybe one of those.
Yeah, no, that's, again, beautifully said. And as you were discussing that as well, like the previous things you were mentioning, it's about being in the flow state. And when we connect with the first step of grounding ourselves, and then allowing ourselves the opportunity to not judge, to know that we're each capable of expanding who we are and our consciousness, to create a richer, easier world. I always say that if I could only share with others how much easier life is when you're truly healthy, when you're truly centered, connected, and conscious, it doesn't mean that the circumstances of life are always easy. It doesn't mean that we don't have big challenges, but our relationship with it, the energetic drain and the stress of it is completely minimized, because you're in a deeper relationship with yourself, and you are the Buddha in the middle of the burning inferno, not because your mind is controlling the chaos and the flames, but because you have that, as we were saying, expanded consciousness. You're grounded and you're secure, as you were saying, secure in your knowing that no matter what happens in life, you will find a path forward. And that's the third ancient principle, is that for every problem, there is a solution. And my master teacher and coach, the macrobiotic forefather, Michio Kushi, he used to say, sometimes you just have to have the mind of Sherlock Holmes to find your way and to figure out the unique solution for you. And this is the way with the horse. And I love your whole Tao, your Tao of horsemanship, Caroline, and your quotes. I mean, when I saw what you were doing, I have the same quotes of Rumi, right? And Taoist masters. And so there are principles, which you know better than I do. I'm not in that world of working horses in that particular way, but there are principles of working with horses on different levels. But then each horse, like each person, is unique. So when my wild Mustang came from the States and had severe trauma from being in the roundups and losses and everything, her trauma was different than the trauma of another horse. And how I really have learned so much about her struggles being in the human world. And it's really helped me understand myself, kind of like I'm an alien in the human world too, right? Like,
I feel that way too. Don't we? Janine does too. We're aliens.
And she really has always wanted, she's wanted, yearning to participate. But yeah, she's had fear, she's had trauma. But I realized for her, it was just such a foreign world of communication. It's like taking a high spiritual master and asking them to explain, well, how do you walk? Like, I'm just going to walk. I can walk from my house to my car. But if you keep asking me to do it and explain it, I don't really know how I do that. Like, I don't know how to break it down. It's like, okay, so I think a thought and then I put one foot in front of the other. And then she'd be like, is that, and then it's like, is that okay? Like, am I doing that okay? And so I realized for her, she was so highly evolved that it was challenging for her to, I don't want to say dumb down, but it's not dumb down. It's more about, how do I communicate? Or the example I often give is like, if we were captured, let's say by dolphins, and they have a sonar communication system, and I really wanted to be like, I knew they loved me, and I knew that they were trying to help me, and I was just having a hard time figuring out sonar communication because I've never communicated that way. So my point is how we share our energy and learn from our horses can be so unique for each horse. One horse may need some real boundaries. They really may need to be said to, this is not safe. Like, you can't do this. And then go, oh, okay. Where Spring Rose, she will not be spoken to. She is a sovereign queen, and she will not be spoken to in that way.
We have to, well, yeah, she's laughing because of her mare. And then Sundance, who passed away recently. Yes, we know about strong mares who are queens. Yes.
So what I've been doing with her, I did different things. Like I would, and I don't suggest this for anybody, but I would, when she was untouchable and deemed dangerous, I would just sit in her area and with my head down, a little ball, and I would let her come and sniff me. And she started bonding with me when my back was to her. She would start kissing my neck, and she would start massaging, all here. And she still does that to this day. It's her favorite thing. But as soon as I would approach her from the front, she'd be like, well, you're not coming. You're not approaching. This is my space, right? So everybody's different. Every horse is different. And so how I explained to her from a human point, and it's just an example of how each horse is unique. I said, I need to learn how to help you in the human world so that I can help you if something happens. Like, what if she is sick? What if she is injured? I said, how am I going to help you, Spring Rose? You are not in the wild. You can't go into a river and heal yourself. I have to learn how to help you understand how I can help you. Right. And by being present, by expanding my consciousness in accepting that she's a bit different and not beating myself up, that I found out lots of people tried to gentle her with and said, not a chance. Like, she is not, like, this will never happen. Right. And I've never gentled a wild horse, but I arrived with her when I go to see her. She requires more than any other horse that I am present.
Yes. So did my mare Sundance. Exactly. Yes. And to the day, I mean, before she passed, and everybody knows this about her in so many of the videos. I mean, you could not come into her space unless you were present, and unless you asked for permission, and unless you came from the right heart center. You had to learn her language and how to respect her, or she'd kick at you, bite at you. And like you were talking about this particular mare of yours, Sundance, when I rescued her at the age of 3, she was going to be put down because she was so dangerous. When she was neglected and left behind with another horse, and when the rescue got her, she was attacking them, teeth, barrel, double barrel kicking, trying to run them down. She was 3 years old and that aggressive and that defensive. And they were going to put her down until, they knew me. And here I showed up and I took her, but I made that pact with her. She was never that way with me, because the first time I met her at the rescue and I saw her running, trying to run down the trainer who's got this whip in front of her, and she's running backwards as Sundance has got her ears pinned, trying to nail her. And I just jumped out of the car and I said, may I? And I just jumped in there just with my energy. And I was like, you will never be that way with me. And I will never make you feel that way. And she just looked at me like, whoa, what just happened? And I said, I will respect your space, but you must respect mine. It's always going to be a give and a take here. Doesn't mean she didn't still try to kick and bite and attack other people, but she was with me, and she was on her way to healing and teaching. Wow. Holy cow.
Magnificent. And that's what I was saying about the Sherlock Holmes mind, right?
Yes.
For every problem, there's a solution, because sometimes there's big challenges, whether with horses or something else in life. And it's through the journey to find the solution, let's say, that we expand our consciousness, right?
Yes. Yeah. Beautifully
Right,
put.
that we are open to exploring new territory, right? No one ever said to me, do this or that with Spring Rose, or
Yes,
exactly. I just let it flow. I just let it flow intuitively. And then you learn from masters like yourself, Caroline. That's you're providing a pathway for people to have the mind of Sherlock Holmes and their own self-empowerment through that. And so that this is a huge gift that you're giving to humanity and to horses. But it's always refined. So we take what we learn, or our intuition, and we keep refining it. So we have what I like to call, we have our own AI, each human. We have our own advanced intuition and advanced intelligence.
Oh, I like that. AI, advanced intuition.
And
You're brilliant.
Advanced higher intelligence is higher consciousness, not intellect.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Correct.
Intellectual dominance is what has got the planet into the situation.
It's ego driven. And that is the hardest place. I mean, oh gosh, that'll be we'll expand this series, but I think that's something that we need to talk about the next time in part 3, is really understanding the difference between the intellect taking over and the intuition taking over. And the easiest way I can explain it is what you feel. When you feel something and you learn, like I said, the tuning fork, how to tune in and feel how it resonates in your body, then you're learning somatically, viscerally, you're learning through sensory awareness and intuition versus thinking. I have a very difficult time, and so do my students have a very difficult time with me if they come to me with a very book read and very, well, have you studied with this person? And I've been in India and I studied with this master for 10 years. And do you know this type of Taoism and yoga and Buddhism? And I'm like, nope. I'm like, I just know what I know. I've read some books. I've done as much personal introspection and that I can, and I'm where I am because of that. It's not because I studied with anyone. I never had that opportunity, but I don't want to go down that way. I don't want to get into brand names. To me, as soon as you attach yourself to a brand name, even me, do you know Caroline? Do you know the Tao of Horsemanship? I mean, it's how you say it. Then as soon as you attach yourself to that, that's the ego, because now you're using that name to inflate yourself or to give yourself credit. And it just get out of that space. It's what you've experienced that, and if it's been good and it shows up good in your life, who you are and in areas of your life, then that's all that matters. That should be the barometer that you measure your success or your knowing or your intelligence. And we should be guided by the heart, not the mind. That is what really messes us up, all of us. And it's a constant fight, because that's how we are programmed. And that's how it's a constant fight, isn't the right word, maybe for some of us, but it's a challenge. It certainly was for me coming back into horses and my Trinity being masters, especially legend at, F you. You come in with that attitude, you come in with that level of energy, you come in with that mindset, and I'm out of here. Same with Sundance, I'm out of here, and I'm like, wait, minute, you know, I'm practicing someone else's method and I'm like, oh, this is supposed to work. And they're like, bye-bye, you know, forget you. You're going to have to figure out how it's going to work for me, the horse, you know, and meet me where the horse need to be met, where I need to be met. And it was amazing. They were my best teachers. But you have to be vulnerable. You have to be willing to go there and make a lot of mistakes, which I call learning opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it's as you know, as you're talking again, we're aware that for every challenge there's an opportunity, and we won't get through all the principles today, but I love how it's integrating. It's that the fourth principle, and this is direct from macrobiotic Taoist theory, is everything that happens to you is what you lack. All that is antagonistic is complementary. So any challenge you have, any horse that comes into your life that is challenging, they are helping you. So everything that happens is what you lack, meaning it's time to expand, right? Your consciousness. It's time to be willing, as you're saying, and be interested in embracing a new opportunity for your own personal growth, through your own mastery. Yes. So all teachings, it doesn't matter if they're well-known people or ancient people or whoever, they're only there to activate your own self-mastery. Because each person is a master.
Beautiful.
Is a master. And so we can choose to not be on that journey. And that's the free will universe. But more and more people on the planet are really interested in how to create, very simply put, a higher quality, more fulfilling, spiritually connected life. And that is the journey of self-mastery. And the journey of self-mastery, it provides us with so many opportunities to learn intellectually, like learn theory or from books or ancient texts or from people, but then we make it our own, and we're supposed to make it our own. We're supposed to own our power, and we're supposed to cultivate our sense of self. We're supposed to feel secure in our own state of being, because when we feel secure, we don't have that overwhelm and that level of fear. We can have concern for the future. It's good to have concern about certain things because that brings you into alignment and it helps you prioritize. But we don't want fear to overwhelm our higher senses, right? And so all of this can come together in our journey of self-mastery. So there's nothing exclusive, it's all inclusive, right? So even if someone loves having studied with XYZ in India, that teacher will still want you to own it for yourself. And beautifully put. Expanding consciousness, right? Being totally present in yourself and feeling connected and feeling the joy of that connection. And that you will always find a way forward. It may not be what you think it is, but you will find a way forward.
Beautifully put. Tell people who aren't familiar real quick with your personal experience in healing yourself, because you almost died. You were very ill as a young person, as a child, and you came about this knowledge, this amazing knowledge. You healed yourself, for God's sakes. You walk the walk.
I do. I've been through the fire. It's like Lord of the Rings. If anyone watched Lord of the Rings, when Gandalf gets pulled down by the Balrog, it's like I got pulled down. I got the rope around my ankles, and I wrestled with the Balrog more than once. But when Gandalf came back, he was Gandalf the White. He wasn't Gandalf the Gray. Right. And so I was born, very briefly, I was born with deformed organs. And that resulted in severe digestive disorders and endocrine disorders. But it never affected me mentally, emotionally. That was my gift, right? So in holistic healing, people talk a lot about the physical ailments coming from emotional, experiences or beliefs, which I support. Certainly, I've worked with many clients for sure. They all work both ways, but literally both ways. So when you strengthen your physical, which is everything is energy principle, every cell in the body is an energy center. So your physical is a frequency as much as your emotions and as much as your mental aspect. When you strengthen your physical vessel, then you can strengthen everything else, your thoughts and beliefs and consciousness, right? That's part of the tree trunk that we're talking about. So I never felt defeated. Sure, I felt despair or so much pain and didn't know what to do. I just thought that was ridiculous. Like I just thought, like, I am not here to have this experience. Like, I am not going to struggle the rest of my life and degenerate physically. That's just not an option, So now when I work with clients who have serious illness, if they're really interested in healing, then we often use the mantra, not recovering is not an option. And then the way will come forward, the way, the Tao, right? It will come forward. And that's expanding your consciousness, right? You are making a stand for yourself. You're honoring yourself. And whatever situation someone's in, take a stand for yourself. Honor yourself. Remember who you are. It is so important at this time on the planet. The animals need us to be who we truly are. We need us to be who we truly are. I like to say destructive playtime is over.
I love it. Oh, I love it.
Playtime is over. It's not judging anyone. It's not saying you're not a good person. It's saying it's okay. It's okay to feel powerful. It's okay to feel that I'm a good person. It's okay that I can dream and take steps towards that dream. And that's what I did. I said, I will not decline. And that's when I found the book, The Power of Positive Thinking, in our country schoolhouse. I lived on a farm, a black and white TV with 3 channels, and 1975, right? And that changed my life. And I forgot I read it. I actually forgot I read it. So I was in my deep healing in my late 20s. So I started with mindset at the age of 10, and also with nature, sitting in nature in the circles of stones with the raven and the fox coming to me, and dreams of animals and horses and spirits, and having a good laugh with them. Like, they would come to me and we would laugh about some of the beliefs, right, that hold humans back, right?
Wow.
But it took me from the age of 10 to about 30, and it was challenging. But what am I here for? I'm not here to give my power away and slowly degrade and degenerate. Now, if somebody chooses to have a certain state of health because that's what they're meant to experience in this lifetime, then that is their empowerment. If somebody chooses to transition and ascend, then we're all going to leave the planet, right? At some point. That I support clients who make that conscious choice. But for those who know and feel and yearn that they are supposed to have more time on this planet, and that there's more within them to awaken and to share, you are needed. You are needed beautifully for yourself, and you're needed. Look at the horses. Look at the horses who are suffering. They need you. They need you to step up and feel okay with feeling powerful. It's not something that we have to dumb down ourselves anymore.
Especially women. I feel like, I think across the world, I don't want to get political, but just women in general in society, I have really taken a huge step back. There's just a lot going on that's just, and men too, and there's a lot of toxicity out there. It's crazy time right now. It's like, if we're all just going to be individuals, which is wonderful, why not embrace our own individual specialness and feel empowered, but there's no need to disempower anyone in that process. That's what I find absolutely not okay, is don't take someone else's power or specialness or uniqueness away. And so to me, that's being inclusive, right? We're including everyone, then everyone deserves that. So I find that really tough in today's climate, so to speak. It's crazy out there. And here we are, in this podcast, trying to reinforce and enforce and support, everyone's ability to feel empowered and blessed and in control of their life, so to speak. Even when so many things feel out of control, we are still in control of us. We are still in control, even when we feel out of control. That's something a lot of us don't feel, I think,
Well,
we don't
take
feel
away the power of the horses either through
they're amazing
what I
amazing
call
teachers.
a medieval mindset. Like, can we get evolve out of medieval mindset with our relationships with horses and animals?
Yeah, no.
I mean, if we have artificial intelligence doing all sorts of stuff, why are some people on the planet still treating horses as if it's 1250?
Yep. I don't. Hey, I'm a horse trainer. I still see this going on all the time, and these on YouTube, and these videos get on TikTok, and these videos are getting, I mean, just, it blows my mind. I mean, the people that call themselves advocate of the equine, I'm like, you're still using bits. I am absolutely against the bit. And there's so much study and research out there that you do not need the bit for any performance level at all. But you must understand the biomechanics, you must understand X, Y, and Z. I get that, but it's just crazy how, there's still this mindset, this controlling mindset out there, control the masses, keep them fearing, X, Y, and Z. You don't have control of your horse if you don't use this amount of force. You don't have control of your horse. And it's like, seriously? Everything I teach is like, you get the heart of the horse, where you become part of the family dynamic, the herd, even if it's just the two of you. And that horse is going to take care of you like the mother takes care of its baby. It's not going to step on you. It's not going to run you down. It's going to, they too will be mindful. But, that's a whole nother conversation. And you and I've briefly talked to Lidia, and I know my audience has heard this before, the difference between wild horses and domesticated horses is huge, even though the psychology is the same and the instincts are the same. But we have and I will use this word, dumbed down our domesticated horse over centuries of influence and absolute chaos and abuse. We've created a very intelligent animal and made them into a basket case. And so now there's all these contraptions and forceful, mostly abusive ways of managing horses and training horses. And it's like, but it doesn't have to be this way. But the hardest part is we have to peel back the layers of trauma that so many of our domesticated horses, as you've experienced with your horses, so many of them, they carry like we do. How do you peel back that trauma that affects their nervous system, that makes them act crazy, and dangerous, for the lack of a better word. Nobody wants to get run over. Just that in and of itself, you can have a horse in hand that's going to go right through you. That's dangerous. But there's no need to beat the horse up because of it. That's the point I'm making. Where's the compassion and the understanding? And now what do we do to help that horse? And basically, Lidia and I are telling you guys what to do. There's so much that can happen through the woo-wee, the law and Taoism of non-action, but you must be ready to take the time and not force the horse before the horse is ready. A perfect example real quick. And I've gentled wild horses, and my last one was a few years ago, and the little Mustang is still here. He's not mine, he belongs to my client. But the long story short is, I took my time. We did a documentary, became an online course, took my time. It didn't take long for him to accept me. And when he accepted me, and I waited for him to tell me when he accepted me every time, it was easy for me to introduce everything that I needed to introduce to normalize him, to domesticate him. And so when I would go into the round pen, which was his holding cell, which was inside my training area, so he had my horses around him. He was never isolated. But I made that had to be his spot. I fed him. He had water 24/7, but I had to muck out every day. I was the only one that mucked, the only one that fed him. And I brought in all the stuff that he would become familiar with. It was never a one-time surprise. It was, well, here's the whole grooming tote. Here's everything we're ever going to be using. It's always here. So you can just familiarize yourself when you're ready. And then I would come in, just do my normal thing, feed him over there, sit down and just spend time. And of course, he had my other horses around. So long story short, it only took a matter of weeks, a few weeks. And then, oh my gosh, fly spraying him, brushing him, everything was like, oh, it's an extension of you. You haven't scared me. You haven't surprised me. You've been consistent. You've been the same. And it's felt good. And it's put me in my endorphin, the nervous system that is releasing the feel good, calm hormone. You haven't shocked me, scared me, startled me, done anything unpredictable. So nothing was ever an issue. And just this week, before I left, I had a long weekend vacation. So before I left, he had gotten kicked and had a huge hematoma on his chest. And I told my helper, staffer Clarissa, that's been here for years, I'm like, cold hose it, give him a little bit of Banamine the first couple of days, and keep an eye on it. So I come back and it's this hard mass. So now I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to do heat, we've got to do poultice, and we have to do ice. How am I going to put an ice pack on your chest? So, I'm running around. It's my first day back yesterday, and I'm running around. It's my day back real quick, and I'm taking care of the horses because Clarissa took the day off. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm like, no brainer. I'm like, what do I have that can strap this on him? And I had an old slinky. And if you're not familiar with a slinky, it's just this tight webbing, like stretchy material, like a workout pant, but it's thinner for horses. Goes over their face, over their neck, and over their body. But it's like the first part is over the face, and then it stops at the withers, and you hook it underneath, and you zipper it, and you hook it. But it's to keep them clean. So when I was traveling as a clinician with my horses, and Sundance was white, and she'd lay in her manure every night, especially when it was cold, I wanted to keep her clean. You didn't want to be bathing her in the freezing cold. So first time, it's a slinky. He's never had a blanket on him. And it's got to go over his face, just for his eyeballs, just for his ears, tight as tight, can be, it stretches. He had no problem. I was like, yep, here I come with all this crap. Here's the hot water. Here's the poultice, here's the ice pack. He's never had any of this before. And I'm going into the stall, but he knows me. He knows mama. He knows my touch. He knows my voice. He knows my energy. He knows that if he's standing there looking at me like this, I just have to touch him, allow him time to become familiar. Don't force it on him. And because they will, if you give them time, they're curious. They'll become, oh, what's this? Can I put it in my mouth? So I had to roll it all up, start putting it on his nose, pull it up to his eye. And I didn't have him haltered. He just stood there. So now just his eyeball, it's tight, pull it up over his ears, pull it down. And he's just like, oh, what is this? What are you doing? This is interesting. But it's like children. It's like anything in your life. How do you create the experience? Everything we do in life is an opportunity to create an experience for ourselves. We can be in an environment that we don't like, but there's no way of getting out of it. So how do we change that experience? And it is a mindset, and it's also energy. It's you can think one thing and still be tight and pissed off and bracing against and resistant against the experience. But if you go, hey, I'm here, how can I make the best of it? I'll be out of here sooner or later, or maybe it's a dangerous experience and I have to think my way out of this. But this is really important. I mean, he was just amazing. And by the time I stuffed the ice pack in there and I unzipped it and Velcroed it around so it could, stay over for hours. He had to put up with that yesterday for hours, today until that damn thing goes away. And it could take about 30 days. This thing is massive and it's hard. But anyways, it's the experience that you create and what you bring into that, the mental energy, the physical energy. And it goes back to energy is everything, principle number 1, and then number 2. And Lidia, you asked what was number 2, you missed it. Lidia Primavera, energy never lies. So if I bring irritation into this experience for Lando, like, come on, we got to get this over with. Damn it, why do I have to do this right now? You think I want to come back to my first day of work, having to take care of all these horses and hours spent with this guy, put a gun to my head? But that's life, accept it and make the best of it and find the joy. It's like, I love these guys, it's like, I know they'll give back. And I was actually, I'm getting up from my desk every so often, running around to do all this stuff and take care of everybody. I love it. Yeah, it was getting in the way. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll just push back and work a little later. And this stuff has to get done. It has to get done. So how do you bring that positive into the experience to the best of your ability?
What a beautiful story. And thank you for sharing that experience with us. And 100% what you're saying, we have, as conscious, highly evolved conscious beings, a choice to create the experiences, the energy of whatever we're in, how we hold that space. And as you said, there are many, many examples in history of people who have been in horrific circumstances and trapped, and they expanded their consciousness. They elevated themselves.
You did that. You're living proof of that. I've had some crazy accidents that I walked away from, and I totaled and crushed all the sides of my Land Rover, and I should not have walked away from it. And I walked away from it, you guys. I mean, it is real. Can you think about what we can do, all of us? How, like you said earlier, and we're going to be wrapping up, it'll be an hour and a half, and it's 3:00, and I have to take care of the horses, you guys, because that's what I do every evening. But it's like you mentioned earlier, Lidia, about the white light, and when I was telling the story about speaking into the camera when I'm doing my teaching videos, my training videos, and feeling a heightened sense. I'm not talking about being a channeler. I'm talking about how do we become receivers? How do we connect with the light within us to connect with the light in all of us so that we are all channelers? And that is the only way we're going to make a huge difference. We have to learn how to cultivate that within ourselves so that we know what that feels like. We understand it so that we can then share that with the horse or each other, our children, anyone, our loved ones. Anyone. We have to start within and then reach out.
Well, you're saying to become the conscious leaders of our own lives. And as we become the conscious leaders of our own lives, we radiate out positive energy and naturally become conscious leaders of the world. You don't have to be a political leader or an economic leader. You are the leader of your own. We're moving from self-blame that keeps us in low vibration into self-responsibility and the joy of taking ownership of your, as you said so beautifully, you're creating your experiences. Things may happen to you, but you choose what kind of experience it's going to be from within, and then how that flows and then unfolds in life. And we are actually, if you understand, not that you don't understand, but if the viewers understand that we are all energetic beings. Every cell in the body is an energy center. It's a spiral of energy. We have the chakras, but every cell is. So we are naturally all channelers. We're all pillars of light. We are, the blade of grass is a channeler. So when I introduce Reiki, I've been doing Reiki for a long time. When I see a client for the first time, I walk them through what is Reiki, how do you channel energy, because Reiki is the adding of energy to another being that's already channeling energy. So it always works based on principles. So what you're saying is, how do we remember that we have this ability as receivers and transmitters? And this is exactly what Taoism and macrobiotic theory would teach from the beginning, is that we are receivers and transmitters of energy. You are not significant. You are powerful. You are an incredible channeler of light and energy. And it's meant to be strengthened, and it's meant to be radiated out for the good of all.
Yes, we all are. Every one of us, absolutely.
And it begins with honoring of self, that you're worth your own self-care. If you are constantly in destructive habits and patterns, it is hard to cultivate and expand your ability to be a channeler of energy, because you're already a channeler. So one thing that everyone can think about today is reflect on your daily life, and what comes to you that you think you no longer need and that you can release, that will help you feel better, that will help you feel physically better, emotionally, mentally better. And we want to start to take the layers of toxic inputs in our body away. So for somebody, it may be that I don't need to smoke a pack of cigarettes. Maybe I'm going to just try and do 2 cigarettes, right? And then slowly have no cigarettes. Maybe
that's a tough habit.
A bottle of wine on Friday night. I'm going to have a glass of wine, and then eventually I don't need.
Wait a minute. Are you talking to me?
So whatever it is for each person, think of one thing. Maybe it's not staying up so late at night. Think of all the things that and one thing, start with one thing that could help strengthen your energy.
I talk about rituals. I talk about rituals for people. Like, what are the little things you can do that don't take too much time? Because it's always, I don't have all that time. How can you replenish yourself? What are some of the small things you can do that give back to you, that make you feel good? Maybe making a special cup of tea every morning, or that special coffee, or you doing something. Rituals are really important to creating. They're important to horses too. Routine, creating structure, and something to look forward to. And even if they get, not been out of shape, but moved around throughout the day, we can always come back to one or several of them, even if they don't happen exactly when we'd like them to. But the giving back is so important, the self-care, and in so many ways. Lidia, before we wrap, because we're going to be doing a part 3 for sure, how can people find you? Please talk a little bit about your coaching, the different types of coaching you do, and wellness. And I'll also be putting this in when I do my editing of all of this in my copy. But how can they reach you?
Well, my umbrella website is aponahealing.com. And in that website, I'm bringing together my 30 years and my life experience of expertise and wisdom into 4 pathways, which have 4 signature coaching programs to help you heal, grow, and evolve at whatever level you're at. So I have my high performance wellness coaching, which has evolved out of my 30 years of coaching clients in chronic illness. And in the high performance wellness coaching, we work with the 12 ancient universal principles and mindset to help you really ignite your insight. As I was saying, expand your awareness and then align your vision. So your mind, body, spirit comes into alignment, and you can really create your highest state of health and master your inner power. I mean, self-mastery is a forever, it never ends, right? It's not like you've achieved one, and it's over, right? You're always constantly learning. And then I have my opponent healing method, which includes Reiki, macrobiotic healing foods, and holistic coaching, in my chronic health breakthrough program to help people resolve their chronic illnesses. And then we have our equine assisted therapy and equine healing retreats, where we focus on stillness and presence with the horses, or pillars of light.
And that retreat, real quick, those retreats are at your beautiful farm in Canada. You have a beautiful guest home. Oh, it's beautiful. You guys can see all the pictures on our website.
Yes, we're in the process of updating everything over the next year. All my 3 websites will be integrated into opponenthealing.com. It just takes a lot of time to.
I know. I was there. I was there. Yes.
It's a lot. It's like hours a day. Yes. We don't have right now. So it is what it is. We're at where we're at with that. And then I have for retreats with or without horses, we can do with horses as well. But I offer retreats and VIP days and bespoke experiences here at our guest house. Our guest house is called Hidden Buddha. So it's Hidden Buddha Healing Center. And I have a signature coaching program, Hidden Buddha, The Journey of Self-Discovery, to help you really uncover your core beliefs, your core values, and identify your passion, purpose, and mission, or refine it. And so we have a whole process with archetypes and mantras, and it's a storytelling. It's based on telling your story, and then identifying themes. So those are my 4 pathways and coaching services. We also offer vacation rental, so people can come and rent the guest house, and we offer that year round. But it's everything that I've learned in my life, I love to share. And everyone here listening, you have so much to share. Your life is unique. You're a beautiful gem in the crown of the universe, and you are meant to shine. And the horses are here to help you remember that. And so they need us, and we need them, and we can co-create with the divinity of horses.
Yes. Oh, so beautifully put. Absolutely beautiful. So everyone, stay tuned. We're going to be back hopefully next month in August. We'll look at our schedules for part 3, Lidia and I. And don't forget about the 2 specials, the 50% off my Discovering the Spirituality of Horsemanship. We only have 24 hours for this. I'm going to be typing out how to find that and the code. And then 50% off my Everything Horses and More video library, the first month subscription, 50% off. Thank you. What an honor, as usual. And you and I will be in touch, and I'll get all this ready, and because she's going to need it for her promotion. So this is good. Thank you. What an honor. You are just a gift.
Oh, why, thank you. And you are too, Caroline. And it's such an honor and pleasure. And look how the horses bring us all together. If I hadn't written the chapter, The Divinity of Horses, in the Evolving on Purpose, Co-Creating with the Divine book, which is coming out August 30th on Amazon, then we wouldn't have met, and I wouldn't be expanding my consciousness and my world. And we're all meant to co-create. We're one energy field. We're one love. As who was the artist that said that there was a singer, not Jimi Hendrix.
Was that no, it was the reggae guy. Oh, come on. Reggae. One love.
Let's get to
I can't think of it exactly. No, not his son. Bob Marley. It was Bob Marley. Bob Marley.
Bob Marley, that's it. You got it. He channeled that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it. Yes, love it.
And so as we treat others, we treat ourselves. And it's not judgment, it's the order of the universe. So let's have reverence for ourselves. And it's okay to love unconditionally. We don't have to hold that back anymore. It's not weakness. Emotion and love is not weakness, it is strength. And it is the strength that's going to change this planet.
Yes. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Caroline.
Thank you, everyone.
Caroline's our queen, the queen of the horses. When I see her on the
No.
when I see her in the videos with the horses, I'm in awe. It's just oneness and flow and just magnificent.
Oh, you're kind. Thank you. You're kind. All right. Well, thank you, love. All right, everyone. Thank you. We love you all. Bless everyone. Namaste. And we will see you next month. And that'll be a good time to promote your new book coming out.
Yes.
The next
Thank
podcast.
Yeah. August 30th on Amazon.
Okay. All right. We'll get a podcast together before that if your schedule allows.
Absolutely. I would be honored.
Okay. All right. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.